Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Furkhan Dandia. I'm a therapist. My journey's been interesting. I've worked in oil and gas as an engineer, and I decided to pivot a few years ago to become a therapist. Mostly, as some of you have mentioned, mental health challenges started coming to the forefront, and I realized there's not a lot of, um, especially culturally for me, it was more of. Uh, I realized there's a lot of shame around seeking help and talking about mental health. So I wanted to become an advocate myself, especially in the space of men, where I feel like a lot of men tend to isolate. So I wanted to become an advocate in that sense. I also have a podcast that focuses a lot on mental health, and my goal is to help people realize that we're not alone in this. We all tend to struggle, although the struggles may be different from time to time, but we still do. And by sharing our stories, we can find that deeper sense of connection and community. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to learning from everyone, all the speakers, and hoping to learn more about their journeys and the type of work they're doing and the impact they're making. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. Yeah, thank you. So again, great cohort, the first cohort, lots to definitely unpack there. So I wanted to shift it a little bit where I do want to share more of a personal story, but also invite others to think about how some of these things that I'm going to share are impacting our mental health. So again, as I shared earlier in my intro, working in oil and gas, there is a culture which I was participating in of going for drinks after work and trying to fit in. And a lot of the times there's conversations that take place around work and some of the politics and decisions when you're out in these settings. And I was partaking, and I didn't have healthy boundaries with myself. And what I realized was it was starting to impact my mental health to the point where the drinking was starting to interfere with other healthy aspects of my life, specifically sleep and diet. And 3 years ago, it really came to the forefront, especially with the pandemic. It was getting out of hands because you can kind of work from home and not have to be in the office. So I was pretty much pushing certain boundaries. Yeah, so I had one night where I pretty much got blackout, and I woke up the next morning. I didn't remember a whole lot, and that was probably the scariest feeling I've ever had. And I had to get honest with myself. I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself that if I'm trying to be this advocate for men's mental health, am I really walking the walk here? And at that point, I decided to make certain changes and focus on my healing and personal health, ultimately, which led to focusing further on the mental health side of things. So I started to, I basically quit alcohol and started to focus on my sleep, my diet. I started reading more, I started journaling more, and I really built one of the things I really learned from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, was stacking those habits. So you start picking one positive habit at a time and you continue to stack them. So that's what I was starting to see with the sleep, the eating healthy, the journaling, the exercise. I started stacking all these habits and I started to feel really good. So all of it was being reinforced. So to share all of this, what I want people to think about is what kind of boundaries are you setting with yourself? Are there certain things that you're doing specifically with respect to your workplace that you may not necessarily do? And one of the things I've come to realize also as my own spiritual growth has evolved over time since I made some of these choices is at the end of the day, we all have this inner voice that's, some people may call it intuition, listening to that. And it's, if it's telling you that something doesn't feel right, asking yourself why. Are you compromising your values at times to fit in? And for me, that's obviously allowed me to take a different trajectory, even in the workplace. There are times where I do stand out, but for me, at the end of the day, knowing that I feel good about my choices is the reward. And I know that can be very difficult for people, and sometimes some of these choices can interfere. with our mental health, but I do want to people to think about that and reflect on. So that was kind of the reason why I wanted to share this story and also talk about how we can improve our own mental health and look at some of the choices we're making on a daily basis.